Alrighty, here we go. So, welcome to the show. If you don't know, my name is Joshua McCarty, and I did 6 years, 6.5 years in four different prisons in Georgia, across Georgia, and I met some interesting people when I was in prison. I met some good people, and I met some people who, uh, quite frankly, deserved to be in prison, but uh, they all seemed pretty cool. Never really had too many problems, anything. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say that some people that I met in prison, I still keep in contact with them because they was like real cool people. We used to like either meet playing basketball, or we used to meet. Maybe they was my roommate, or maybe we just used to meet gambling or watching TV and stuff like that. And I'm always a firm believer of never forgetting where you come from, whether that's a city, a town, a neighborhood, or even if it's prison. And me being in prison helped me understand and recognize that people make mistakes, and it also helped me recognize that just because you made a mistake and got locked up in prison, well, we all make mistakes because if you didn't make a mistake, you wouldn't have got caught. But we all make mistakes, and just because you're locked up doesn't mean you're a bad person. And I met some good people when I was in prison, and some people that I would consider my friends. But today we have three letters. Sometimes I communicate with people in prison. They'll send me letters asking me like how I'm doing, what do they need to do, basically asking for advice on what they need to do when they get out of prison. And sometimes I send them money or send them money on the green dot and stuff like that. So today we have three letters, and one is from Mike, one is from DJ, and one is from a friend named Trap. And they're just telling me like what's going on basically in prison. And I told them to ask me questions that they have concerns about, like when they get out. So this is the letter here from Mike, and he asked me, well, he told me about like what was going on in prison, about like how the guards are and everything. And the question he had for me was, what are the first things that I did when I got out, and the first things that he should do when he gets out of prison. And I got out of prison in the end of 2013, and luckily I went to a transitional center 5 months before my release. So I did 6 years in prison. It's like 5 months in the transitional center. And when I was there, only thing I was focused on was getting a job. And I was just filling out applications. I would talk to the job coordinator. I would go out and do our weekly job search to try to find jobs. And I just used to write letters after I turned in the application. I used to write letters, like follow-up letters, thanking them, saying thank you for giving me the opportunity to. I'm lying. Don't scratch that. So I used to go fill out the application. Then I used to turn it in. Then if I would get an interview, then I would write a follow-up letter thanking them for the interview and telling them like I guess my qualifications and how I would be a good candidate for the position. And I believe the key to doing that is, and a good reason to do that is, it helps you stand out to the employer. Because if 100 people fill out an application for the job or the position that you're applying for, I can guarantee you that none of them is filling out or is writing a letter after that to follow up on the interview and to thank the manager or the owner for giving them an opportunity to not waste their time, but to share their time with them, to grant them an interview. So I used to do that, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I always knew that it'll help me stand out. It'll do more good than it would do bad. So I did that, and finally I landed the job. It took me about 2.5 months to get a job because the work history is tricky when you've been locked up for so long, because people want to know like what type of relevant experience that you have when you're filling out job applications. And the only thing I could put down was I was a janitor, which I was for a little bit of my time in prison, but I wouldn't put on the application where I was a janitor at. And other times I would put I worked at the car wash, and I would just have my brother as like put his information down as a manager and give him his contact number. So when they call him, they'll say, "Oh yeah, he worked for me at this such and such car wash," and things like that. And even if the car wash wasn't relevant to the job that I was applying for, it's still better than just leaving it blank. Because if you leave it blank, then people are gonna get suspicious and ask you what's going on. Then you gotta tell them the truth, or you gotta lie and even though I was lying anyway about the car wash thing. But moving on, and I just did that, and I finally got a job at Dollar Tree, and the manager, her name was Tiffany, beautiful lady who gave me opportunity to work for Dollar Tree. So eventually, I'm not sure how she knew, but eventually she found out that I was in the transitional center working. Maybe because she tried to call me in one day and my mama told on me, or something like that, or I said I couldn't come in. So eventually I just told, after that I just broke it to her and told her that I was locked up, and she didn't have any issues with that. She still used to call in. If she needed me, she'd call and talk to the warden or the superintendent at transitional centers and ask if I could come in to work and stuff like that. So that was the first thing that I did when I got out, because I knew I didn't want to ask for nobody for nothing again. I knew I wanted to, even though the Dollar Tree was like $220 a week, but in prison I was just working for free for extra bologna sandwiches and extra peanut butter sandwiches, because I used to work on the outside detail cutting grass in my last 2-3 years in prison, maybe my last 2 years. And the only thing that they gave us for compensation was an extra bologna sandwich and some Little Debbie snacks. So making $220 a week was good money for me when I got out. So, but I knew I didn't want to ask nobody for like the essentials that I need, like things to take a bath, that I needed to just like to groom myself, clothes, shoes, drawers. I'm getting sounding old. I said drawers, boxers, and everything. So I just worked, save my money, and I knew I wanted transportation because I was walking to work, and the Dollar Tree is like 2 miles away from me. So it took about an hour and a half just to get to Dollar Tree. And I used to walk there through rain, wasn't no sleet or no snow, but just rain or the really hot conditions. And I said, this is like time consuming and it's tiring, because after working a 6 to 8 hour shift, the last thing you want to do is walk an hour and a half to get home. So all I did was just save my money, save every paycheck. I was still eating ramen noodles and stuff when I got out. I was still making pockets when I got out, because I know I didn't want to spend money on fast food. So those are the two things that I did when I got out. Got a job, find any job you can get when you first get out, and it doesn't matter what it is. Don't feel embarrassed because you just got out of jail or prison. So being embarrassed on where you work at should be the last thing on your mind. So just get out, work, save your money, and get you things that you need. Buy your clothes, your shoes, all the essentials that you need, so you'll be so you can start building your foundation basically. And the second thing I would say do is to get transportation, because having a car is like freedom. If you have a car, you can leave, you can go to places, you can go pretty much anywhere you want to if you have a car. And if you don't have a car, then you gotta call up. Now you got Uber, you gotta call up taxis, you gotta call up friends, you gotta ask your family to help you give you a ride, and that can put a burden on the people that you are close to. So I would say the first thing to do when you get out is to get a job and save your money and get a car. So the next person that wrote me a letter, really kind of short, he really just asked me a question, was DJ. And I met DJ, we was playing spades. Like, I think it was just an uneven amount of people and I couldn't find a partner. So I saw this dude. I say, man, you want to play spades? He said, yeah. And we just started playing spades. And we just used to run yards on folks playing spades, because DJ knew how to cut the cards and knew all type of card wizardry to cheat. And I don't know, we just got cool like that. And we just kept in touch ever since. I think I known him. Well, I met him. I was at Baldwin State Prison when I met him. So sometime in 2009 when I met DJ. And DJ asked me, how'd you get your first job when you got out? And I went over that with the first question. So I got my job just by filling out applications, going in, talking to people. And I was filling out at least 40, 50 applications a day. And most of them wouldn't call back, wouldn't respond back to me through email or anything. But I just put in applications, finally got an interview. Then I wrote a follow-up letter to Tiffany at Dollar Tree, and she gave me a chance. And I started working from there. The last question is from Trap, and I met Trap. We was just working out on a pull-up bar, and I was at Hancock State Prison, probably sometime in 2011, maybe 2010. Mid 2010, mid 2011, and me and him were just working out on a pull-up bar, talking. He was asking like where I was from, asking where he was from, and just I guess casual conversation. Then we used to work out, play basketball. Uh, Basically it. And his question was, "What's the hardest part about getting out and staying out?" And this can vary from for different people, but the hardest part for me about getting out and staying out was the transition. And even though I was like in a transitional center for like 5 months, it still took me 2-3 years before I was like I guess fully mentally transitioned and understood that okay, I'm free now. Because at Dollar Tree you got customers to come in, they just be rude to you, and I would used to like I wouldn't cuss them out, but I would like snap on them, like just get loud with them and stuff. Because in prison, like you really can't tolerate disrespect, and if somebody disrespects you in prison, if you don't get no straight, then people gonna see that, and or he gonna tell other people, and then they just gonna run over you. They gonna come into your room, steal all the food out your locker box. They're gonna be pushing you, gonna walk into you. Don't say excuse me. They just gonna run you over. So when I was free, well, when I got out, I was still thinking like I was still in that prison mentality. So if people would say something to me, or people would bump into me, uh, or do anything that I would deem disrespectful, I would snap on them right then. And I had to understand that these people didn't mean no harm. They ain't never been to prison before. They ain't never been to jail. They were just either having a bad day, or this is just how they are. And I had to understand that if I kept reacting and responding to the people how I was, then I would lose my job, and eventually I'll probably do something stupid out of a quick anger just to go back to prison. And I didn't want that. And I messed up relationships like that, relationships like girlfriend and boyfriend. I messed up friendships with people. I messed up a lot of just like connections within the first 2-3 years when I got out, because I was still in that prison mentality. And I think that's like the hardest thing I had to cope with, and the hardest thing that I had to transition from was understanding that just because somebody disrespects you doesn't mean that they was trying to be disrespectful. And I had to understand also that everything doesn't deserve a reaction, or it didn't deserve the reaction that I gave. And sometimes I would just go too far and say things that shouldn't have been said based on what the person said or did to me. So I think that was the hardest part about me getting out. And the hardest part staying out was probably financial things, because unless you come from like a rich family, or you got like a lot of money saved up, then you're gonna be starting back from the bottom and working your way up to the top. And when you're doing that and you're not used to working, you can get fatigued mentally, you can get discouraged as well, and your mind can think about doing things to get quick money again, because you just don't want to feel broke. And there's a lot of things that can make you feel bad in life. You can feel sick. You can lose a loved one. You can have physical pain and stuff. And I think outside of death and having physical pain, like losing your health, the worst thing in life is like being broke. There's nothing like being broke. I can remember that I was with my girlfriend. It had to be a few years back, and she was real sick. And I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, maybe. I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and she was real sick. So I'm talking about like I thought she was on her deathbed type sick, but kind of found out she had a flu. But I was at work, and she called me, say, "Hey, can you go to the store and get me some medicine, then go to Applebee's to get me something to eat?" So how she sick and she eating Applebee's? But anyway, so I went to the store, got the medicine. Then I checked my account on my I checked my wallet, and I had like $15 and like 10 cents in my wallet. So I called Applebee's, and because I didn't want to go to Applebee's and say, "Oh, sorry, sir, you don't have enough money. So I called up the Applebee's to place my order. So when I placed the order for my girlfriend, I asked them, could you tell me what the total is? They said, we'll give you a total when you come up here, sir. I said, I need to know now because I want to know if I could afford the food or not. So they told me the total, and it was like $16 and some change. So like $1 more than what I had. And I was like flat broke when I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. So I looked at my car, I couldn't find no money or anything. So instead of calling my girlfriend, because I didn't want to like feel embarrassed. Don't nobody want to feel broke. So instead of calling my girlfriend, telling her that I don't have the money to do it, I called her and started an argument. I thought about something that we argued about in the past, brought that up, and I started an argument with her. I started an argument with my sick girlfriend just because I didn't have like an extra $2. And there's nothing like, I don't think there's nothing more worse than feeling broke. So I think those are the two hardest things to, the hardest part about getting out and staying out is getting out and understanding that people's not going to like treat you like you've been to prison. They don't know that you've been to prison, and some people just don't care. They're going to say what they want to say to you and do what they want to do to you until you learn how to respond in a more mature way to maneuver around certain situations, verbally and mentally and emotionally around certain situations. And the other thing, the hardest part about staying out was just staying focused and knowing that you can't do illegal stuff, whether that's like robbing people, selling drugs, scamming people, or anything to get a quick fix. Because the time you think you can say, okay, I'm just gonna do it this time, and if you don't get caught this time, your mind's gonna say, okay, you didn't get caught this time, so you can do it again, and then you're just gonna keep going and keep going because it's hard to stop quick, fast money, whether it's legal or whether it's illegal. It's hard to stop quick money. So, yeah, man, those are my questions from my three buddies in prison, Mike, DJ, and Trap, and I'm gonna try to do I don't want to call this a podcast because I'm not sure what it is right now, but I'm trying to do one of these shows once a week, depending on if I get letters from people or not, and I'll show y'all the bag that I have back there full of letters and stuff. But yeah, I'm just here to bring awareness to prison and help lower recidivism, basically, and help lower homelessness. I'm not sure if this show is gonna be about homelessness or not. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll invite some guests on and stuff like that. So if y'all have any ideas on what I should call this podcast, let me know, please, because I'm lost. Maybe I can call it Joshua and the microphone, or the camera, the mic, and me, or something like that. But if you have any good ideas, let me know, and I'll see y'all next week.